One person this week came to see me down at the golf projects, really suffering with trying to make the change from strong grip to a neutral grip. And this is something that I do not like teaching golfers. He was trying his hardest to cope with this neutral grip, but he just can't seem to find any results with it. He's tried this for months and months, and he came up to me a couple of days ago, really suffering with trying to make this change. So I told him a couple of things that he needed to do if he wanted to keep that strong grip in this game. Again, I would not recommend trying this. However, if it's something that you really must consider, rather than getting that neutral grip like so and having a strong grip in your golf game, then this is the video you want to be watching. We're going to be diving into the concept of a strong grip, the trick to playing golf with a strong grip with the driver golf swing. For those of you who are new to the channel, my name is Harry, PGA golf professional down here at the golf projects, and make sure you drop a comment down below the tips or drills video topic you'd like me to cover in a future one. So the example I'm going to use is Dustin Johnson, because he has three things he does extremely well that we need to look into getting in our golf game that he does pretty much time and time again. So the first thing we want to be looking at is speed. How fast can you swing the golf club? Because we need speed to be able to maintain this club face angle staying nice and square. And for those of you out there who have this strong grip, you will be wary that if we have a strong grip and we don't do anything else in our swing but take the club back and through, it closes the face down like so. If we have a neutral grip, it's going to come back nice and square. If we have a weak grip, it's going to come back very open because it makes it difficult for us to release the golf club. So what we want to be doing is swinging quicker to be able to delay this release of the club head. If we've got a very strong grip, it makes it very easy for us to manipulate that club face and release the club head way too soon. You can see there, I can get a lot of turnover on this club, and look how much I can shut that face down. We do not want that, do we? So for strong grip, the first thing we need to consider is speed, because if we slow down doing this motion, we get to the top of our swing and we start to slow down the body, we slow down the arms, the club head, due to the gravity, the majority of the weight of the club head being in the driver head itself, is going to fall and come out in front of us. And the problem with this, as I mentioned before, it's going to close down that club face. So it's really important. Step number one is ensuring we can generate more speed. But the question is, how can we do this? Well, to generate more speed, especially when it comes to those golfers who have this really strong grip in their golf game, we want to be making sure we're doing this concept. The concept that Dustin Johnson does in his golf game. So what Dustin Johnson does so well is he is able to create such a huge separation between his lower and upper body. I've done a video on this a couple of years back talking about the trick to playing golf with a strong grip, and we talk about in that video where we get to the top, Dustin Johnson gets to the top of his swing here, and then the first move he makes in the downswing is getting the hips to rotate as almost the hands are still going up to finish the backswing. So it's almost looking like this motion here. You can see as I'm doing this and pulling my hips down, that's eventually going to force the club head to come down like so. And from this camera angle here, I'm just going to stand a bit further away so you can see this. Once I get to the top of my swing and I fire like so, you can see just for a split second there, that club continues going up as my lower body starts to shift down and through to target. But to do this effectively, before I give you a great drill doing this move, we want to be covering a couple of different aspects that we need to consider as well. The next one being strength. Think about it this way. We need to be able to swing this club, get this movement taking place, but maintain this angle for as long as we possibly can. Look, I am not releasing that driver head at all, and that club face is pretty much square, if not a tiny weeny bit pointing towards the right, a little bit open to my target. So that's a great indication for us how important it is that when we get this downswing move here, we are delaying that release as much as we can. And this can be all down to strength. If we've got weak forearms, weak wrists, weak hand muscles, and we get to the top of our swing and start doing this, yes, we'll be able to get this almost catapult-like move like Dustin Johnson does time and time again. But as we start to come into the downswing, that weight of the club, due to gravitational forces, will put a little bit too much pressure on these muscles. So eventually, we'll just release the club. So if you're someone who thinks you're going to struggle doing this and struggles with that forearm strength in this movement here, then this is what we should be doing. Oh, Trapman's just going through a little bit of a service issue. That's fine, we'll carry on the video. So we're going to get to this point here. So the way to think of this is, imagine a graph. You've got speed on one side and strength on the other side. If you lack strength in those forearms, we've got to be swinging it a lot quicker. If we swing a lot quicker, it's going to be easy for us to delay that club face angle. I always teach this in my sessions. If someone's pulling it and looks like they're swinging a little bit too slow, I will always get them to swing a little bit faster, and they will notice much better results in their golf game. They'll see much straighter golf shots, more committed golf shots, but also much further golf shots. If we're going to be struggling with this forearm strength, wrist strength, hand strength, doing this, you'll notice that when you watch Dustin Johnson do this, he's able to hold this position for so long in this tight position here as he's turning through to be able to get that club face maintaining nice and square through that impact zone and making contact with the golf ball. Again, if we've got this strong grip, we do this motion here and we struggle with that strength, we're going to release the club too early. So what have we got to do more? We've got to turn quicker. We've got to get this movement here, catapulting motion here, much quicker. Another thing we want to be considering is flexibility. Think about it this way. If we need to be developing this speed from this almost catapult motion here, look what I'm doing here. I'm separating, as I mentioned earlier, the lower body from the upper body. So in order for us to be able to do this at speed, at strength, we also need flexibility in our golf games. And the very easy, very simple method I would like to show you now, which will clearly identify whether you have the right capable flexibility to be able to play golf with that strong grip, is taking the club and putting it across your shoulders like so. Standing as if you would hit the golf ball, addressing the ball like so. From this position, obviously the ball wouldn't be this far in the front of the stance, but you get the point. When we're in this position here, all I'm going to get you to do, and I want you to do this at home right now with a stick or a club if you've got one at home, is see if you can separate those hips and get those hips to move either side like so, as if you were to twist them in the golf swing whilst keeping your shoulders nice and stable. If you're finding and struggling to do this where the lower body and upper body move at the same time and it's really difficult to get that separation either side, then having a strong grip in your golf game is going to be very, very difficult for you to play golf with. And the main reason is, think about it here, we're going back to this catapult motion here, we're bringing the club back down onto this plane here, we're really getting those hips to fire out the way, to lag the club behind, maintain that face angle being square, as opposed to getting that early release. Well, if we can't fire those hips early, get this huge separation between the lower and upper body, then we can't maintain that club face angle to stay square. We're going to end up releasing the club way too early and seeing those golf shots go way too far low to left. So if you're someone who's suffering at the moment with those low left shots, who's tried this motion here and is finding it very difficult to get this what we call disassociation between the lower and upper body, then we want to be looking at changing the grip. But if you're someone who can do this motion, can separate those hips between those shoulders like so, then having a strong grip could be an asset to your game. But remember, we need speed, we need strength, and we need this flexibility side of things as well. So moving on to some of the factors that we need to be considering if we're going to be playing golf with a strong grip, especially when it comes to making shots with the driver, is one in particular, and that is the loft presented at impact. The easiest way to explain what the loft is imagine, obviously this driver here is 9 degrees, set to 8 degrees, so that's 8 degrees of loft, and if we were to find a normal grip, okay, I'm just going to bring this club out in front of me here, normal grip swinging back and two, we're not really going to change the loft of the club. Obviously doing a normal swing we would, but from here we're not changing the loft of the club. If we're going to get this strong grip in our golf game like this here, and I swing back, get this separation going and working the club this way, I'm massively reducing that loft. Take this into account, think about it for a sec. If we're going to be getting that flexibility, the strength and speed to be able to do this, we need to be getting that launch angle more in the upward motion so that you can get the right angle of attack, the right loft presented to the ball at impact. Because if we just stood here doing this as normal with the club like so, setting this position, really feeling this motion, you can see I'm de-lofting that club head massively. And if we end up going, oh no, right, just release it from there now, we're just going to close the face off down. So that's going to make it go low and left. So how do we get that launch on the upward motion? Well, a simple drill you can do is taking a alignment stick like so, like just one I've got here. Obviously you can get them in different colours and whatnot. And you're going to place it on the front side of the golf ball. So when it comes to your setup here, obviously you would have the ball position in line with the lead heel. So for me, being a right-handed golfer, the left heel. When I come to set up here, if I was to try and avoid that alignment stick, that'd be very daunting to start off with, wouldn't it? So what I'm going to do is, once I've set up in my normal position here, ready to hit this driver shot, I'm going to place the alignment stick on the external side of my lead foot. So external being away from the center, just like this here. So now this gives me around 3 inches, 4 inches ahead of the golf ball. That gives me a little bit more leeway for trying to get this upward motion to take place. When I show you the drill that you want to be using to be able to get this separation between the lower and upper body correctly, use this drill. Place the alignment stick down like so. Obviously you've got that strong grip ready to go, just like Dustin Johnson. Your job from there is to avoid hitting that alignment stick. So what you're going to automatically do to avoid that alignment stick, we're going to be trying to get that club head working upwards. We're trying to get that low point where the club reaches the lowest point in relation to the ground, well behind the golf ball. If we can get it further behind the golf ball, that's going to give us more time to get that driver head working on that upward motion. You may have noticed in my previous video why 93% of golfers struggle to strike their irons. If not, check the video out later on at the end of the video. Is that we place the alignment stick in the back of the stance to try and encourage us to get this swing arc moving and shifting more forward. But now, because we've got the drive in our hands, we want to be doing the opposite. We want to be pushing that swing center further back. And the very easy way for me to explain what that swing center is using a hula hoop. So the swing works on an arc. It works around in this circular-like motion, a 45-degree angle. It doesn't work lateral, doesn't work vertical, works on this almost 45-degree angle somewhere in the middle between the two. And if I was to place this down like so, I'm going to move this alignment stick out of the way, and I'm just going to show you another video that I've just done for you now, just to make things easy for you to see this. If we were to move the ball position further back in the stance, you can see there from this angle here now, we're going to be hitting more downwards into the golf ball. Well, we're not going to be hitting downwards into the golf ball with driver because we're setting it up in the front of the stance like so. With that lower loft presenter impact, doing that move that I'm going to be teaching you a little bit more detail later on in the video. If we get this movement here with that strong grip and hit on the upward motion, it might not be enough to get the ball at its optimum height, that optimum launch that we look for. We might be lacking distance and lacking consistency as well because of this. So all we're going to be doing here, just to help us shift this swing arc a little bit more further back, to help us hit more up on the golf ball, to increase this launch angle, get it more of an appropriate launch to help with optimizing the flight, we're going to do 2 things in setup. We're going to take our stance as normal in the front of the stance like so, and all I'm going to get you to do from here now, tilt the hips forward, and what you should be able to feel if you just relax this upper body is that as you're tilting the hips forward, your spine angle almost wants to tilt this way, almost wants to tilt backwards in this position here. So if I was to place the club next to my sternum here, vertical to the ground, and I bump my hips forward, you can see I start to get this tilting motion taking place like so. When we get this tilting motion, we are effectively pushing that circle away from us, further away from the swing center. So think about it this, we've got the hula hoop here, we've placed it on the ground, we've set up in this position here, we've placed the ball in the front of the stance, and then if we get this tilting motion here, that's effectively just going to push that swing arc, that swing circle a little bit further behind the golf ball, getting that low point somewhere around this motion here, as opposed to somewhere too close to the golf ball, because we're reducing the loft from this strong grip. So I'm going to take that hula hoop away and I'm going to place this alignment stick back on the ground, and this should make it so much easier for you when it comes to setting up and placing the alignment stick here like so. Bump this hip forward, tilting that spine angle further back, keeping nice and relaxed. Doing this should make it so much easier for you to get this upward motion on the golf ball, but also get that correct launch that you're looking for. Again, I would not advise going too far if a player was gripping it as normal or weaker, but I would certainly advise this if you were doing and you had the capability of doing those 3 things that we covered before, the speed, strength and flexibility, and now also the ability to be able to bump your hips quite far forward, almost like from your eye angle here. You're just bumping the hips, the lead hip forward until it almost reaches that alignment stick on the ground. So now you're set up in this very much tilted position. That's going to help you hit more up on the ball to help us increase the loft at impact. We've reduced the loft from this strong grip. Now we need to increase the loft at impact to be able to square things up for us. So there's two more things I would like to dive into before we finish up this video. Number one is obviously doing this drill, getting this separation. How do we work on this separation? How do we speed it up? How do we control this separation, this increased separation in the golf swing? But also a driver bonus tip that I really don't need to miss. It's really, really important that you take note of this. Otherwise, you could potentially hit 50% of your shots low and left again. So this just secures the fact that you're not going to hit it low and left. You're going to hit it nice and high, straight down the middle of the fairway more often. So kicking things off with the actual drill itself. How do we get this separation from the lower and upper body? Well, as I explained before, I'm just going to take this alignment stick away, but as I explained earlier, getting this motion to take place, we're getting to the top of the swing, and we really want to encourage this motion to take place on the downswing, this separation, almost like as we swing to the top, the lower body has already kick-started that downswing, very much like what Dustin Johnson does in his golf swing. So if I was to take the club away now, if I place my hands either side of my shoulders like so, as if I was to hit the driver, tilting this motion like this here, if I was to just turn to the top here, getting that sensation of getting the back facing towards the target, and this just allows me to really open up the hips, open up the shoulders to get this turn and rotation. We don't obviously rotate this way, just make sure as you're turning, you're almost twisting and spiraling upwards like so, so you're staying very much over the golf ball. Not like this here, just staying nice and stable. We just don't want to see this shift this way. We could shift this way to help get that launch more upwards, but we're effectively too far away from the golf ball, so probably end up topping the golf shots. So from here, we're just turning into the top of the swing from here, and as you start to turn to the top of the swing here, I want you to encourage the sensation of this hip firing as those shoulders are continuing to work upwards to the top. So if I just do this again, I'm going to turn, fire the hips, allow the shoulders to continue turning to the top of the swing. And obviously there's going to be a limit for everyone doing this, but for us getting this sensation here, this massive separation, that's going to make things so much easier to get that control, to increase that speed, because we're almost lagging the club, we're forcing the arms to come back down, and we're increasing that flexibility. We're getting this disassociation taking place from the lower and upper body. Another simpler way of doing this is taking the hands out like so, put them across the shoulders again. Imagine doing that disassociation test again, where we're just separating the hips to the shoulders. Well, what I want you to do now is get those hips working left, get this lead hip rotating almost where the golf ball will be away from the golf ball, and get those shoulders working the other way. So we're just getting this separation here. We're getting them to work in the opposite directions, like this here. And even for me doing that, I feel quite shattered. So that's where the strength comes in. I would highly advise, if you're going to be doing this and going, right, you know what, I cannot hit a golf ball with a normal grip, and you must play golf with a strong grip, then you need to start going to the gym and focusing a little bit more on some core exercises around the sides of the core area here, just to help you increase this motion, get the core working in the correct motion, to allow you then, as you start to work on this flexibility side of things, you're not going to get injured. You're not going to pull any muscles doing this motion here. So now we know and understand how to develop this separation between the lower and upper body. Now we're going to try and just start to hit a few shots doing this. We've spoken about getting that swing arc in the correct motion, trying to get the low point more before the golf ball. By doing this, we're getting those hips bumping forward, getting that spine angle to tilt more away from the golf ball in this motion here. Let's see if I can get a good strike doing this. Getting this separation, getting this feel of the hips firing as the shoulders are still working upwards like this here. Let's see where the golf ball goes. So very low and a little bit too far to the left. Carry wasn't great at all either, pretty poor strike. So what was the problem with that? I did everything right. I did everything in my favour to be able to get that ball as high as possible, but I'm missing one thing. the swing path. So the way to look at things here is, because we're setting up in this tilted motion, ball position the front of the stance, it's very easy for us to swing a little bit too far on the inside and then eventually close the face down a little bit, even if we get this separation going between the lower and upper body. So all I'm going to get you to do here now is this driver bonus tip I've been wanting to talk about for the entire video, and now I can finally reveal it to you. So I'm just going to place that here, see if that works. There we go. That's not upsetting TrackMan anymore, not getting the notification. So for this, you're going to take 2 alignment sticks. We're going to be placing one exactly where we placed it before to help with that upward motion and increase the loft presented at impact. So somewhere around here, I'm going to adjust it if needed in just a sec. We're going to place another alignment stick. It doesn't have to be a different color. I just got a different color alignment stick here. And I'm just going to place it. So rather than pointing directly down the target or pointing on a parallel angle with the alignment stick I've just placed on the ground, somewhere in the middle, pointing at the golf ball, working across like so. I've got these 2 alignment sticks set up like this. I'm going to take my stance as normal. I'm going to bump those hips forward, get that spine angle working further back with this strong grip taking place. The tendency I see a lot of golfers make when they try and do this motion, keeping that strong grip in their golf game, is swinging too much on the inside due to getting this tilted motion in the spine angle. Think of it this way, I'm going to bring the club up here, and if I tilt it this way, what does the club want to do? It wants to go underneath, it wants to go this way. If I tilt it more forward, it's going to go this way. It's going to get the club working more left, more out to in working this way, more in to out working that way. So what we want to do is, when we get this tilted motion here, we want to be encouraging as we start the downswing and getting this motion here to get those hands and driver head itself working left and following that alignment stick on the ground. It's going to look very weird because it almost looks like we're holding off that club face with the driver. Well, that's going to help us avoid hitting it too far to the left, isn't it? If we can do this. Again, it requires the strength, it requires the speed, it requires the flexibility, and also obviously getting this upward motion, getting that loft correct at impact. So for me, doing a few drill swings doing this, I'm just swinging up to the top as normal, feeling this separation here. On the way through, I'm just going to stop like this here, where the button of the club is pointing towards my belt buckle, almost like we're finishing off, holding off, doing a chip shot like this here. I wouldn't recommend hitting shots like that with the driver, but you can do this with an iron just to try and get that sensation of what this should feel like if you're going to play golf with that strong grip. This does work with the irons. The only thing obviously you want to be changing is the ball position being in the middle of the stance, if not slightly ahead of the stance, and obviously we're not going to bump the hips forward and get the spine angle tilted this way. It's going to be very much neutral. So now I'm going to do another shot, working the same motions just on the way through, getting that driver head and hands working left with that alignment stick on the ground. What's so nice about those 2 there is that one I've always gone a little bit too far left again. I wasn't able to hold that face off and get the club working more left with that alignment stick on the ground. But if you ever look at these 2 here, the first one is very much low and left. This we managed to increase the height. So we're getting there. I'm just going to go again doing this. I'm not quite used to obviously playing golf with that strong grip either. So here we go. Get it all set, ready to go. Really encourage that hold off, getting those hands and club to work left as much as we possibly can. There you go. That's the one. Wow. Let me just get the camera here just to show you something, right? And this is no secrets. You've seen the last 3 shots I've just hit. I'm going to get this now. That was carry a 313 face angle. Okay, minus means it's pointing more to the left. So let me just get that driver now and show you at this point here. Okay, so that means the driver head is ever so slightly closed in this position here. Not even a degree pointing to the left of target, but have a look at the last 2. First one, -5. Doing that motion before, carry wasn't great at all due to the strike. And by the way, that's when I didn't mention the driver bonus. So I'm going to bring in the next shot now. Shot number 2, face angles reduced. Carry was much better. Nicer outcome. Final shot we've just hit there. Much straighter down the target line. Miles better carry distance. face angle was way close to square. And that one there, I definitely swung a little bit quicker, increasing this motion here, separation between the lower and upper body, but also I really tried to get that club face and hands working left. You can see that I'm getting those hands to work this way. I'm not releasing the club like we were doing before. We're getting this motion here, holding this angle for as long as we possibly can, and that has given me a much better outcome. I'm actually quite interested to give this a try at some point, maybe do a comparison video between strong grip doing this motion here and normal grip and see the difference, see what carries further, see what the totals are. If you'd like to see a video just like that one, then make sure you drop a comment below. Thanks for watching, stay tuned, and if you're interested in more content like this, feel free to check any of these two out here to help you improve your golf. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.